Hello, welcome. I am Vicky Manitou Okas and I am excited today. I've got my worm bin here with me and it's been 2 weeks since I set this up. I've been feeding it every couple of days and so far the worms are looking really good. So we're going to take this apart and aerate it, put it back together again. So we're going to take a really good look at how things are going in the worm bin after 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago I did the workshop showing how to put a worm bin together for wonderful, beautiful fertility in for gardens in tiny spaces. And this is mine, so where I am recycling household kitchen scraps into my worm bin so that I've got beautiful fertilizer for my tiny gardens in my space. So hey, you know what? Go check out Delectable Tiny Gardens, the meeting place for people looking for food resiliency in tiny spaces. And you can learn how to put this together for yourself. But for right now, like, subscribe, and let's take a look at this worm bin today. All right, so this is what the worm bin looks like as I'm taking it apart. I've got just newspaper to cover it up with. I'm going to set the newspaper aside. This is the screen that helps keep problems out of it. I probably should do a little bit better job with that screening because I think maybe I'm getting a few flies in here. Okay, but that we can deal with that. Okay, the way I'm going to deal with the flies, yep, there's a few flies in there. But the way I'll deal with the flies is a fly trap. And I make those just out of old soda bottles. And that's easy to do. So, at any rate, that's what it looks like right now. Okay. And I am just going to dump this into the tray. Okay. And set this down. And look at that. Okay, so they have been in the top of this, turning all that into, you see that the bottom is not, they haven't done very much in the bottom, which is here. But if you take a look here, they are starting to turn that into compost. Okay, and they have eaten most of the food that I have put in there. So it looks like maybe I could even feed them a little bit more than what I'm feeding them. Okay. Stir this around, get this all stirred up. Okay. There really isn't very much food left in there. So that's a good thing. So that's one of the things that you want to watch is how that you're feeding it at about the rate that they are eating the food that you put in there. And that's looking good. So they're doing a really good job of turning that food scraps into beautiful fertilizer. And so looky there. Looky there. Okay. We're going to irritate the worms today. That's a young one right there. Not a baby, but that's a young one. I'm looking to see if maybe there's any babies in here. There probably is, but this has only been in here for about 2 weeks. Looky there. That is really, they're doing a really nice job of turning those kitchen scraps into fertility. It's going to take, they will be in this bed for, oh, probably about 3 months from the looks of it, before I have to completely reset the bed. Yeah, I'm finding good worms in there. Okay, if I'm going to find babies, that's probably where I would find it. Yep. All right, that's looking good. Lots of worms. They're eating the food that I put in there. Probably needs a little bit more moisture, but I'm putting wet stuff in there. So I'm gonna feed it. This is what I'm feeding it today. So some leftover squash. Again, there's plenty of moisture in there. A few eggshells and some banana peels today. Okay, and I will probably put some coffee grounds in today, but I didn't put them in that bowl. Okay, so the number of worms that I've got in there, this is about enough food for a day or two from the looks of what I'm seeing. And I'll put the coffee grounds in there. So I'm going to mix this in. And I feed them like that about every 2 days. And yes, soon there's going to be enough worms in there to feed them a little bit more. So right now they're eating about half of the kitchen scraps that's being produced. All right, there we go. I'm going to put this back into the worm bin. So hopefully they will propagate well, and I will have more worms and be able to compost more material very soon. And that's nice and mixed up, and I'm seeing lots of worms as I'm putting that back in there. I'm trying to be gentle as I'm working with this so I don't damage the worms. If this was a smaller container, all I would have to do to aerate that would just to be stir this around. But I wanted to get all the way to the bottom and see the whole worm bin. All right, so now Just put this back on the top of it. Just a little bit of newspaper. Put the screen back on it. And this newspaper helps keep things out of it. All right, and that's all there is to it. If it would be of benefit to you to join a community in support of resiliency in tiny spaces, whatever that means to you, whether it's a tiny garden or a container, I invite you to join us at Delectable Tiny Gardens, the meeting place in support of resiliency in tiny places. Or you can pick up a product or two, information at Manitou OCOS programs, where I have posted my plant profiles and other materials in support of sustainability and resiliency. So whatever path you choose towards your own personal resiliency, abundance, and sustainability, one step. Whatever that one step is, one step. And I look forward to talking to you later. Bye.